This is not going live
No,
yet.
we're live now. As a matter of fact, right now, Jesse,
Oh my goodness.
Gunny, we're on.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Jesse Almanza here with United States Marine Corps retired gunnery sergeant.
You sure? Because
I
Jesse, you keep, you know, you can look down here on the bottom and you can read it yourself. Now, I'm Charles Prentice, United States Air Force disabled veteran. Although it doesn't say the disabled part on there, but that is who I am.
yeah. Well,
And
you catch me by surprise. I'm over here trying to do
you're trying to do other stuff
other stuff
instead of
in
doing
my
this stuff,
mind.
but we're a day ahead.
What a
So
day. We are today.
you have a day yet that you're to take that hill.
Yeah.
So because you have an event tomorrow with
Actually, I don't have an event tomorrow. I have a hospital visit with my little Yorkie.
see that's an event
That's an event.
because that's
Yes.
family.
Yeah.
That's furry family has to go to the hospital. So
That's it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. My poor Yorkie is starting to have some kind of problems with the throat, and we want to get her checked out and make sure everything's okay with her. And that's the quickest appointment I could get. So today we are live, talking to you again one more time with the Military Veteran Family Channel, and we just
like,
want to,
subscribe, and share.
yeah, like, subscribe, and share. We want to touch some areas that a lot of us, including military or not military, but including the dependent family, especially for you, because I know that not directly, but indirectly, you see a lot of these things.
Well, I thought there was something you wanted to talk about first with the gala coming up.
Oh yeah, well,
Do you
I
want to
tell
go
you,
ahead? You want to go ahead and do that?
yeah,
I'll
let's
put
go
the.
ahead and do that. Let's do that. That way we can get that knocked out of the way because we may end up running into another session with the information we have to cover. But a reminder to everyone out there that's in our area out here, and which is to attend our third annual gala. It's at the Richard Childress Racing Event Center. It's on Saturday, the 29th of August. You'll see up on the screen there where we have the flyer there, that little scan code there, that QR code. Just put your phone to it, and out pops the registration, and all you need to do is register and stuff.
That's right.
Um,
Gulf War era veteran. And the reason why we use Gulf War era, we had a question about that said,
right,
hey, why don't you just use the veterans era? Gulf War was a long time ago. No, yeah, well, Desert Storm was a long time ago. The
right,
Desert Storm is the start of Gulf War era because we are still currently in Gulf War era.
right.
And so just to
Just
get
to,
rid of try to get rid of some of that confusion.
I know,
That's
people
the
get
reason why
confused
we
and
did
stuff.
this channel. But Gold Star family also. So we want to remember the Gold Star
Gold Star
family.
families.
We're representing both sides, the Gulf War era, those who are currently serving and those who have served, and our Gold Star families. We want to
And
recognize them. So, and then now we're going to jump into today's discussion.
yeah, yeah. And before that, I just want to include Gold Star next of kin families are welcome as well too. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start with our session for today. We talked a little bit about this previously on one of our previous sessions that we had, and we need to really kind of take this into consideration because it does not matter how long one has been out of the military.
Mm-hmm.
When we have the military mentality and everything is in one location, we get everything out of one place, one what not building but an area, a location, a base, basically. And we don't have to go outside. We don't have to step out that wall. We have everything we need. Everything is there. If we need to go to the doctor, dentist, commissary, whatever, it's there. But that's being in the military.
Mm-hmm. You get
But
up in the morning, you throw on your uniform.
yeah, and then all of a sudden everything just disappears on you. It's like voila, bam. You went out the gate closes behind you, kicks you in the rear end, as I say sometimes. And you look back and there's like nobody waving at you anymore.
Yeah,
You know, you
they're waving goodbye.
yeah, well maybe that, but there's nothing back there. I mean, you have no more status. You're not no longer you're still the rank that you left with if you were the one in the military, but there's nobody there to say, hey, we'll take it easy. See, everybody will tell you, hey, we'll make contact.
So we're talking
Mhm.
about when the military is no longer your primary job. You
Yeah,
are
it's
no longer United States military. Well, you're no longer active duty and actually serving,
right.
because we've already always talked about that once you're military, because of course the Marine Corps motto is
Once a
once a
Marine, always
Marine,
a
always a
Marine.
Marine.
And that's a fact, Jack.
And
Don't
and
forget
and,
that.
and I mine is I'm still under the mindset of once you're military, you're always military,
Yeah.
because they ingrain it into your head in basic training and a lot of your schooling. So once you're military, you're always military, but you're not always serving in the military.
Right, correct. And for all you sportscasters and all you news media guys that are out there and always refer to Marines as former Marines, once again, there's no such thing as a
Stop
former
it.
Marine.
There's no
No,
former
no former Marine. We're
Marines.
all Marines, lifetime. We've earned it. We got it. And don't forget that, because I will hold you accountable if I hear you say that. I'll call you. Hey,
He's
what
going
did
to
I
show
tell
up.
you?
Well, you don't have to worry. Of course, if Gunny shows up, because we learned last time that Gunny's nice Marine, and I mean Air Force.
Well, Charles, I've been thinking about that.
Gunny's going to send me, and
I,
then you really have hell to pay, because
I've been thinking about that, but the more I thought about it, the more I'm thinking, will I lead my troops the way I was talking last week or previously? Well, probably not, because we really have to drive things to individuals, because sometimes we can say so much and mean so much, but we care about you.
yep,
We care about each and every one of you. We want to make sure that you're good. Obviously, we both come from a background of being in the military. We got out, left the service, and everything disappeared behind us. And then we have to muddle through all the stuff that we still have to do. You're no longer in the military, but now you're involved with
yep,
the bigger monster. And we discussed the bigger monster a couple weeks
yep.
sessions ago. The three-headed beast, is that what we call it? The VA, which is humongous.
Yes.
I have to say the VA is very positive. It's a good organization. It's huge. There's a lot of things going on with it, but too too much information is too much information. And when you try to maneuver through all of those buttons and stuff, and you hit something that you want to know or learn about it takes you who knows where. It just
Yep.
sends you all over the place. So we're here to try to shortcut all of
Right.
that for you.
We're here to let you know that just because at the beginning you had a bad experience with the VA
Yeah,
doesn't mean it continues to be that way. I
yeah,
mean, mine is. My wife ended up having to go find the supervisor for one of the hospitals because of the fact that the PA that was there said, "Oh no, you can't go back there with your husband."
yeah.
And she went, "Excuse me," and so and then we actually got a hold of our congressman and found out that this guy is no longer working in the VA system. So obviously, I
Well,
wasn't the only one that he was doing this to. That
yeah. So you have to
they,
watch that.
yeah,
It's true. There are good people out there, but you got to consider the fact that number one, we ourselves, we don't work for the VA. We don't want to
nope,
work for the VA. The
nope,
VA works for us, but we have to maintain our strength and be strong enough to be able to stand up for ourselves and speak in behalf of something that that you want to get done
right,
and let them to. And we say in the military, we talk about the civilian world, and all that, and
yep.
and then
Or
all of
as
a
I
sudden,
say,
here we are.
or as I say, the silly billion,
Yeah, here
and
we
then
are.
all of a sudden you hang up that uniform and you become a silly
Here we
billion.
are. Yeah, we're in the civilian world, so we have to do it the civilian way,
Yep,
right? So everything that we were taught back in the days, now we're kind of trying to jump into a different area. I remember, I'll tell you a quick story. I remember when I was first out of the Marine Corps after 23 years, out of the Marine Corps, started getting my job in several locations, because I didn't get just one job. I got several jobs to try to make up for what I lost when I got out, all my comrades, BAQ and all that. And I had a family, I had four kids, and I was still very, very young when I got out, and I'm like, well, I guess I have to get to work now. But I started giving directions to employees, civilian employees. Very simple, like get a haircut, why don't you shine your shoes? Pick up that paper. And before I knew it, I was going to HR. I didn't know what HR was at that time, but Before I knew it, I was calling, telling them that I was harassing people. And I'm like, wait a minute. You don't leave a piece of paper laying there and just bypass it and not pick it up and throw it away in the trash, and or you don't
Obvi-
come
uh,
home all to work.
Obviously, you do in the
Well,
civilian world.
okay, so we have to adjust to the civilian world. It's not the way that it was before. So we have to build some new things for ourselves. We have to build pretty much a new life.
Hmm.
And in doing that, we have to identify what is it that most important to us that we have to look at. Remember, we mentioned several sessions ago that when we joined the military, we were all perfect condition. We were all in good health, right? I mean, we were 100%.
Yep.
That 100% is a very important thing to remember, because since we were at 100%, there was nothing wrong with us.
Right.
We wouldn't have gone in if there was. So now we're out. We're transitioning. We're in a new world. We're doing all this other stuff. And I say this specifically for the civilians that were not the veterans, but you're the dependents. To some extent, you're kind of civilian slash military slash dependents. You're a little, you have all titles and stuff. So you have to know that military men, women that are coming out, we have certain things that we have been exposed to, we have experienced, and things that have happened to us. And our first and foremost thing that we have to really look at when, again, this is it, you don't have to have been out 2 or 3 years. You could have been out 20, 30 years ago. And these are still things that are going on with the military veterans that are coming out,
Hmm.
First and foremost is our health care.
Yep.
I mean, we didn't get out. We got out a few years older than what we were when we went in. That's obvious. So we have to align our physical stuff. We have things that are going on with us. We have disorders. We have chronic pains. I mean, especially when you get older, you're going to have a lot of growing older pains, I should say. We've been exposed to injuries.
Hmm.
We've been exposed to a bunch of toxic stuff, and we carry on through life. I personally know some friends of mine that we fought during side by side during Desert Storm. We were out in the middle of the fields and out in the middle of the those oil landmines that were burning up. I don't know,
The oil well fires.
oil well fires.
Yeah.
And there were days that we never saw daylight. It was all dark,
Oh,
pitch
yeah.
dark. And we were walking around, we were eating, doing whatever. But I personally know a few of my friends that we served together that currently, right now, we're talking 30 plus years later, are going through some terrible, terrible, terrible pains and stuff. And they can't. The hospitals, nobody seems to know what it's about. So we have to be concerned to explore that, because there are avenues that are provided to all veterans and the veteran families in not only compensation but healthcare.
Hmm.
And Charles talked earlier about joining the healthcare system and stuff, and back in the days when they were saying you can't join anymore because you make too much money, and that's kind of true today to some extent. But here's the deal: if you served back in the days in areas that were toxic, they were considered what they call presumed that you had service connections.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter how much money you make.
Yep.
You can still join the healthcare system.
Yep.
You can be a millionaire. And then because you were now in that category of being a part of that service connections due to toxic chemicals effects, then now you can go ahead and join.
Right.
Now they'll get you
Yep.
in.
The PACT Act
Right.
has a list of different presumptive.
Hundreds. I mean,
Yep.
hundreds of things that are presumed that service members. I mean, back in the days, they used to talk about what was that syndrome, Gulf War
Yeah.
syndrome.
Yeah, when we
Hey.
first got out and first got back from Desert Storm, it was Gulf War syndrome because we were told it was all in our heads. Well, part of it is. We've learned that with PTSD issues, but the physical things that were going on. Like I said, I've run across a lot of people who were over in that area that have intestinal issues, and a lot of it's an autoimmune type of thing, and it's as you said, Gunny, the chemicals. I mean, because
Yeah,
just because the chemicals at left the air doesn't mean that they weren't in the sand. And anybody that had been over any of where in that area has seen a sandstorm.
that's right. That's right. Seen the sandstorm. I mean, and you
That
didn't have,
stuff's moving.
you don't have to have been right there in that area in the oil fields. You didn't have to have been there. You could have been back in the rear somewhere where they were burning all kinds of stuff.
Hmm.
Where the trash was being taken to, and you may not even have gotten anywhere close to the fields,
Right.
right? But we were in
Plus,
areas.
one of the things that I found out being over there when we were in Saudi Arabia, the Saudis still use DDT
Well,
for their insect. So um, they're driving around with those big trucks that I remember from,
uh,
from a child when I was a child. That those trucks would go down and spray this big huge fog, and of course we didn't know back then it was.
no,
And as children we used to run in, run through the
to
fog
the
with,
sprinkle
yeah.
of
And
the
so we were
fog.
getting sprayed with DDT back then. That later on the government said, "Hey, this is not good for you.
Yeah,
DDT is not
and
healthy."
you may
Well,
not
there's
feel it right
yeah,
now because you're only like 19 or 20 years old, but wait till you get
yeah,
into your 40s and 50s, it's
and
gonna come
so
out.
over in Saudi. So
Yeah,
all that stuff is on everything. It's
yeah,
not just okay. It blows through the air and insects die.
yeah,
Well, people are being affected by it, and so all like I said, it didn't matter. You're back behind the lines.
yeah,
Um, things were going on, and you were coming in contact with stuff that um, right then and there didn't
right.
affect you. But now, as you're going through life and you're no longer wearing that uniform, heck, some of you might still be wearing that uniform or going through this, but it's get into the healthcare system, get into the VA
Yeah,
system.
get into that. Take care of yourself. I mean, even if it's not the VA healthcare system,
Mm-hmm.
get into an area where you can be at least be identified to see if you have any of these chronic illnesses, diseases, infections or causes that may have been a cause of a toxic fume, toxic chemical, JP5 if you were working on aircraft or even if you were on ships, and land and carriers and stuff. I mean, come on, you have all these fuels, all you've got affected in some way, shape, or form. And if years and years and years later, here's your wife telling you, "Oh, you're breathing kind of funny," or "This is going on with you," or "You don't seem to be sleeping very well. You're snoring a lot," and all this. These are kind of things. These are kind of like signals that we get that we should step forward and go out and get ourselves taken care of because uh, I'm sorry, I hate to say this, but we have lost a lot of service members over the past years with these kinds, especially cancer.
Oh yeah,
Cancer is a
it's
big part. You start
mm-hmm.
getting cancer, and you were in the military. You have to start pegging that, whether or not that would have to do with service connections or not. So the first thing you kind of do when you're already out, and even years later, is that your health is like the number one because it doesn't matter whether you're working and doing all that stuff, but if your health is not in good condition and you're still working, you're trying to make it, and you're working all the time, and no, you can't go see the doctor because you've got to bring bread and butter to the table and all that other good stuff. Your health is number one.
Right.
All of us, our health
Well,
should be number
here's the
one.
thing that I look at, Gunny. It's the fact of if you're not taking care of yourself, how do you expect to take care of others?
That's
If
right. That's
your mind still has that military mentality, and it's my job to take care of my family, but you're not taking care of yourself, and you're starting to fall apart. You're not going to be able to take care of your family. So make sure that you take care of yourself first. Then you can take care of other people because
Yeah,
of that.
yeah. Because when you're in the military, once you get into a leadership position like an NCO and above, you're already taking care of your troops. So it's the same thing. You're a husband or wife, an aunt, brother, mother, sister. You're taking care of your family. So
Hmm.
it's the same concept. It's the same idea. So you have to be healthy in order for everybody else to be okay. And if you're not healthy, you've got to go in. And I know we're pushing this a little bit over and way too much on it, but I think this is the thing that a lot of individuals and talking directly to dependent spouses, family members, brothers, mothers, sisters, and if you identify someone that that is not quite just right, and they've been in the military, and all they keep telling you, I'm okay, oh, it's just the flu, or it's just this, just that. You should encourage them to go out and get themselves some sort of
Hmm.
treatment, some sort of help. And then the other thing too is that, gosh darn it, as much as I hate to say it, you try to navigate through this system, through the VA system. You try to figure out, okay, well, let me get a hold of the VA, let me get a hold of the medical facilities, and then you get put on hold, and you go into the website, and the website, you push a button, and boom, you're in a different area, and before you know it, you're just like, ah, all I wanted to know was about cancer, and all they're doing is taking you all over the place and stuff. But understand that there's help out there. There's veteran service organizations out there. The VA obviously is one of the bigger ones. The VFW, the Disabled American Veterans, the Wounded Warriors. There's a wealth of information that if one of those are not the ones that are kind of responsible to look after for what you're asking for, they should be. They should be. And if you're not, get it together. They're VFWs and DAVs. They should be able to refer you
Yep.
to the proper location.
Yep.
If they're doing what they're there to do for us,
Yep.
their main mission in life, basically, because the reason they're in business is because they're taking care of the veteran family
Yep.
and the veteran themselves.
Mine is I went
So
through AMVETS, and the young lady that was there um, basically jumped through hoops to
yeah,
make sure that all my paperwork was done and to get everything uh, for my benefits.
yeah,
And she did a wonderful job. She moved back home, I think, to Maryland or somewhere, and
yeah,
I have a new individual, but I was already set down that path, and now I don't have any struggles with it anymore.
yeah,
I call up, I get appointments, I got regularly scheduled appointments, and that's the thing is,
yeah,
if you go into some of the outside hospital systems, getting in and getting appointments, well, your prescription
yeah,
medication.
yeah.
You're talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars where they go, well, your service connected. It doesn't cost
It
you
doesn't cost
anything.
you anything.
So
It doesn't cost you
you're
anything.
getting this stuff for free. You can now. I will say the telephone healthcare system that they have, where you're calling to get your prescriptions, they need to fix that because
There's a lot of things they need to
yeah,
fix. I mean,
there's a lot
seriously.
of buttons you got to keep pushing and dialing and to get to just filling a prescription. They changed it to go, okay, well, we'll make it easier on the computer. No, it's not. It's
Yeah,
not easier. They made it more
yeah,
complicated. Their original healthcare thing that they had worked great, but it's still, I don't have to drive to any place to go get my prescription. It comes to my house.
yeah.
And
And
so,
then that's individually based. This is for
mhm,
Charlotte because some of you may be remote. You
yeah,
might be at other places and stuff. But I think once you get yourself
excuse me.
tied into something or someone or an area, just get as much information from that health facility as possible, and do not be afraid to try to see if you can get a referral elsewhere where it'd be more convenient, not only for you but for your family or your loved one, because that is in place. It's just maneuvering around that to trying to get to that point. I can't begin to tell you how many veterans I've worked with, and we're talking a different era now. We're talking in World War II and Korea era and Vietnam era now. I have helped and worked and processed, not processed because I don't do any VSO type of work, but I know some good, reputable veteran service organizations that I can say go and see, even in other states. It doesn't have to be where I'm from. I get calls from other states, and I just do my research
Mhm.
and find out who those players are and connect them.
Okay.
Recently,
Now, Gunny, we're going to say, now we're healthy. Well, or we got our health in
no,
check.
we're not healthy yet.
We're not healthy, but we have our health in check. We're
That's
connected with the
one. That's
VA
number one.
system or however else that goes. Now we're talking employment and transition because it's a different beast when you're in the military because you know what your job is when you get up. And now that uniform is off and you're looking for a new
Job.
a new job,
Yeah,
because the job you had, whether you were a
yeah,
jetmac or worked you're a driver or supposed to have been a diver but ended up a driver, or
Well, that's a story of my never-ending
yep,
career. It never
or
ended.
you're
Anything.
admin,
Yeah.
you
We call
know,
them pencil pushers, but
pencil
that's okay.
pushers,
Admit's
yeah,
good.
admin. It doesn't matter. Now
Electronics
it's
and
finding
com-
how do you
compatible employment. How do you do that? I mean,
yeah
we talked a little bit about it last
yep,
session, and we
with the
talked about the
JOB.
ability. Yeah,
Hmm.
you using your transitional skills. What the heck are transitional skills? Well, if you were in motor transport, that'd be the easiest ones to describe. You're a driver. The driver equates to being able to operate motor vehicles. And not only that, if you want to step outside of the realm of being a driver, you are also a coordinator. You were in logistics, you were
Hmm.
in supply. You were doing a lot of things that, if you put that in perspective, you can go ahead and identify what vein you want to go and hit to be able to get you to that job, that transition that you want to look for and stuff. So don't
Hmm.
just stay in an area where you think that, well, all I did was drive. But again, remember, there's a lot of other things that
Yeah,
you did.
because that's
You
like
know,
mine as I look at it. Okay, how many jet aircraft am I going to load a camera system onto?
yeah,
Especially with the at the end of my career, SR-71 and the U-2. Okay, you're talking high altitude reconnaissance. There are not that many high altitude reconnaissance aircraft in the civilian world that I need to load a camera system onto.
yeah.
But one of the jobs that I learned to do while I was in, because I did helped out with mobility, um, I could drive a forklift backwards through a 1 inch space on either side with my eyes closed with no problem
No, he
whatsoever.
can't.
You know.
He has to have his glasses on, but he can have his eyes closed though.
But that was something that I learned while I was in the military that translates over into a civilian job. As I'm trying to transition and trying to find my
Right,
job that I want to be in,
the job. Yeah,
the job, I have skills that I learned while I was in.
yeah. Don't shortchange
Yep.
yourself when you're
And I
looking for
can
a
use
job.
that. So,
Yeah, you have
I
a
can
lot of
get
skills.
into working um, at a job with forklift.
Yeah, and you also know that there's no such thing as job security out there. There's never really been a job security, except back in the in the 1920s and stuff, when they used to give you a watch when you retired, and a gold watch, and they'll give you a severance on that. But that's gone. You don't get that anymore. The only, in my opinion, this is Jesse against the world here. The only job security there is out there is the ability to be able to perform.
Yep.
If you can do a job, you can do pretty much anything as long as you can do it. That's your job security. Because there's places that you can go to. It doesn't have to be one specific location. You can go to many places and be confident enough to know that you can do the job. The ability to be able to perform. That's really it and stuff. And you got to remember too, though, that if you want to go to school, go to college. I worked in workforce development for many years, and I'm telling you, college is good, going to school is good, but a trade school is better.
Hmm.
I can't begin to tell you how many people were going through our center, our career center, employment center, I should say, that have master's degrees and bachelor's degrees, and I mean all of these degrees on top of a degree, but they didn't have a job. They weren't working. I don't know what happened. Something happened. Go to school, get a diploma, and then get a job. Well, that didn't quite happen to hundreds of thousands of
Yeah.
people.
That was the push back then, Jesse,
Well,
was
no, it happens
get a
nowadays too,
yeah.
though,
But
Charles.
see, and that's because nobody has transitioned with that
Right.
part of it
Yeah.
out of, okay, what are people looking for? Those job skills, like he was talking about, you get to where you're proficient at a skill, whether you're an electrician or a plumber or some of these things that are always used. Now the big thing is AI. Well, you're not going to AI somebody out of laying wire or laying piping
Yeah.
or sheetrocking a building or painting or I'm sorry, AI is not going to come in and put the shingles on the roof.
Well, they may give you directions and instructions on
Yeah.
how to do something, but
But
they're not going to get out
yeah,
there and wrap those wires.
yeah, but you're not going to
for you.
have. So there's a lot of this stuff that people are looking at and go, oh well, AI is taking over this. Well, those trade schools AI's not taking over that. And guess who needs to rewire some of these machines? Get into some of these things, because if that stuff's staying around and they're going to build all these big complexes, well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have people who are going to build these complexes. So that's a workforce in and of itself. So, if you're looking at, hey, like Gunny was saying, trade school, man, get into trade school. Yeah, you can get a master's degree of underwater basket weaving, but how many underwater basket weaving jobs are you going to find? Are there any? And now you spent millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars to have a master's degree or a doctorate in underwater basket weaving.
It's just go out and find yourself a good job description of a job that you wanna or interested in, and then tailor your resume to that job. If you don't do that, I mean, you can pass your resume to 100 employers out there, but if they're not looking for you, then
they're not going to call looking for an underwater basket weaver.
They're not going to find you. No. So I mean, tying into employment to health is important, because obviously, if you're not in good health, you're going to have a problem being employed.
Yep.
And if you are in good health and stuff, that's good. But if you can also kind of compensate the employment to compensation through service connection,
right?
If that's the case, if you identified that there was a health issue going on with you, and you got identified as having a service connection, and now you're receiving compensation, then you can go back and consider or reconsider the type of job that you may want to go into, or even if you can. I mean, sometimes you can't go back to work anymore. That's true. And those are the kind of things that you kind of weigh out, and these are some of the major things that happen to us when we get out, is that we kind of already want to go back home. We want to settle in. We want to go to school. We want to build a business. We want to do all of this other stuff, but considering and reconsidering your health portion, I think obviously is the number one.
Yeah, that's like mine is after getting out, and then I got into working up auto auction. I'm a vehicle inspector. So it's on my feet all day long, up and down, writing up estimates on rental cars or cars that got turned into the auto auction. Well, because of my disability, I ended up losing my legs because of the effects of being in the desert.
Yeah, it's the service connection.
And so I have a service connection with that. Well, it's not easy to get out there and do estimates on cars when I'm in prosthetics. It changed everything. So I was fortunate with the fact that I'm considered 100% disabled, and it's service connected. But like Gunny said, because I was in the VA system, it didn't take that long for that whole transition to, okay, well, your surgery, and now we're doing paperwork to make sure that you're compensated. And as Gunny said, if you have health issues that keep you from being able to get out and do, there's other things that I can do and that I've learned to do. I became a youth minister. I'm chaplain for Gulf War Air Veterans Incorporated. So there are other things that I do as a job. Gunny uses me and my technology skills to put things together.
I use him like you wouldn't believe. Oh my goodness!
So we can so we can do some of these things.
Get that done today.
That's right. So we can
do some of these things. What do you mean you were sleeping? Wake up!
Yep. And so I'm learning YouTubing, or streaming, or however you want to call it.
Yeah, we're coming a long way. So you don't believe me? Go back to our very first episode.
Watch our first one.
You want to laugh? You want to have a laugh for the day, for the week, for the month?
And then there's still, I'm learning things.
Go back to the beginning.
We've had some delays with stuff, and where the resolution wasn't correct, because it's a learning process, but it gives me something to do.
Yeah, followed by, once you go and you talk about your health and you talk about your financial status, your job and stuff, financial status would be the next thing. Is that, are you really secure? Do you really have the job? Do you really have the income to be able to move on? Remember, you lost a long time ago when you got out a lot of money you were making. And if you owned a home then and you were doing okay, now things are rougher. Now you've got to be able to, like I did. I mean, you got to be able to make up for that. Because yes, my wife was working, we had another income and stuff, but we also have 4 kids. You know how they each out of house and home, and then when they get older, they become teenagers. Now you got 30 kids because all the high school kids are out there at your house eating all your food and stuff. So you got to feed a whole village. A whole
Is
village.
that why it's raising children
Oh God.
requires a village
Yeah.
because or that village
Oh
is
yeah, they
showing up,
misunderstood the meaning of that. Oh,
or that
it
village
takes
is showing
it
up.
takes one household to feed the village, the whole children, all of the adolescents.
If you've got the
sons and
food
daughters.
at your house, that's where the village is showing up.
Yeah, well, it got so bad for us. I'm not, I shouldn't say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. I had to put a lock on my refrigerator, Charles. I had to. We bought we bought another refrigerator, put it in the garage, threw all our food in there, and locked it.
Yeah. See,
Uh-huh.
mine was,
So,
my father retired after 26 years. My mother was working. My sister went to college, and my parents helped her a little bit with some paying for some college. And mine was it wasn't a village that they had to worry about the other kids coming in because I was eating them out of house and home myself. And they couldn't lock.
you're the one who was eating.
They couldn't
all
lock
the
the
food.
refrigerator, but my parents had to have 2 jobs just to feed me. And then once I got out and was on my own, fortunately I did 2 years of college and went into the military. So the military.
I bet you
had
they
to
were
feed
happy
me.
to get you out of there.
Yes, they were.
Of course,
they were
they're very
that I
happy to
was
get you out of
gone.
there. Yeah, so financial stability, a house to live in. I know rental houses right now are pretty steep and stuff, and it's kind of hard to try to call your home a home when you're just making ends meet and you're just trying to do this and do that. But go back to the very first topic we talked about, which was your health. Look at your health first. If you have any service connections, you need to file an intent to
connected.
file so you can get yourself compensated for whatever serious injury that you might acquire. Because again, we're not getting younger in life; we get older in life, and not only does it help the veteran themselves or herself, himself or herself, but the family as well too, because the family does get a little bit of compensation for that as well. You got the rising costs, you got inflation, you got all of these things you got to look at, and they're not giving you raises every year when you have a job. I mean, matter of fact, they're not barely giving you raises if anything. Uh, you've got to be able to maintain all that, and you wonder why after living in an environment where it was so self-contained and you had everything that you need, and all of a sudden you jump into a different world,
Mhm.
and here you are. And what we want to do, we want to be helpful in doing is try. We're human beings just like anybody else. I mean, we've gone through a lot of stuff, and the people that we talk to, the people that communicate with us, are saying, I was there too. I did that, and this happened to me, and that happened to me, and I think as long as we're still alive and breathing, our job is not over with. Our mission hasn't been completed. We
Nope.
continue, and wherever that takes you, wherever you go with that. I can remember going to school right before I got out, got my bachelor's degree, my master's degrees, but I can also remember when I got out of the military, I couldn't even use them. I mean, it took me forever before I could land a job that was compensated for my degree and diplomas. There was no compensation because nobody that I was working for cared. I mean, there was a piece of paper, and okay, so what? So you have it. So what? We want you to do this instead. That's the thing. If you can do this instead, then you got yourself a job and stuff. And bear with it because, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And I think to some extent, we just want to make sure that we've covered a little bit of the area down here. Now, this Saturday on the 8th, is it the 8th? Saturday the 8th? I think
I
it's the
believe
8th.
so.
When we have our other session, it's called the No Zone session. We're going to pick up a little bit of where we're at right now because there is a lot of stuff that we really kind of want to bring up to your attention and stuff, and we want you to really think about it. And if you're watching this today, Monday, as Charles alluded to earlier, tomorrow, Tuesday, I know our session goes on Tuesday, but things come up just like things come up with you, and you have to adjust. But we didn't stop the programming or not have it for this week. we figured we'd go ahead and jump on it and do it in the day before.
Yeah.
But we'll be back regularly scheduled next Tuesday. And
Hopefully.
yeah,
Lord willing.
I'm sure Lord willing, that's correct. But yeah, we will pick up where we left off at on Saturday, and it'll be a different type of kind of introduction, because it'll be like the organization as opposed to the
Right.
the military veteran family. But it will still be the military veteran family.
It'll be on
channel.
the Military Veteran Family channel.
Yeah, and-
but we will be doing the Gulf War Era Veterans Incorporated.
Yeah, and we won't change the time on you. It's 11 a.m. Eastern time. The same time as 11 a.m.
Same
Eastern
bad
zone.
time, same
Yeah,
bad
it's
channel.
Same bad time, same bad channel.
So let me throw up our address here. Gulf War Era Veterans Incorporated, P.O. Box 1302, Welcome, North Carolina, 27374. If you guys need to send us, write us a letter, you say, hey, Gunny, I have some questions. You can send it, or if you want to help out with the gala, send some donations to Feed a Veteran. Of course, we already talked about if you're a veteran and you're coming to the gala, you get in free. Let me go ahead and throw that back up to you. You also have the Gmail address, and you have our GulfWarEraVeteran.org, so you can see what we're all about. You can see older pictures of us when we were
younger.
when we were younger.
And you know what, Charles? I see a lot of Facebook pictures of people that show a really nice picture, like myself, show a real nice picture, and then you go back to the photo sections of all the photos, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not the same person I just saw. I know, the cover page.
Like, subscribe,
That's right.
share. We are the Military Veteran Family Channel. We are all about military family. And when we talk about military family, veteran family, we're talking about, Jesse, go through the list: mother, brother, father, this other, that other, and the other others. That Gunny will.
Don't forget the aunt and the uncle.
And the aunt and the uncle, all of them.
Yeah.
Plus those that you served with. We consider,
that's family. We're all brothers and sisters.
Minus, we fought in some of the same area, near some of the same area, and we didn't know each other until years after all this,
Yeah,
but you have those people that that you are stationed with, or you've run across since then, that you've gotten connected with, and you consider them family because you wore the same or wore a uniform. So, that's what we're trying to pull together. And whereas when we're doing Gulf War Veterans Incorporated, are doing the Gulf War Era, with this channel, we're not concerned with Gulf War Era. We are concerned with if you're still alive in your World War I, if you're still alive in Revolutionary War, we don't care. All the way through. If you served in the military, or you had a family member who served in the military, that is our concern. And that's who we're trying to reach out to with this channel. So subscribe, and share. Tell your friends, hey, this is who they're trying to get a hold of. You got anything else, Gunny?
No, be blessed. Have a great week, and